Hello, friends. Today we are going to talk about Niti Aayog, India's think tank. There had been a lot of comment on why Planning Commission was discarded and why did India came up with the Niti Aayog. So let's talk about Niti's Aayog of India. India's Niti Aayog. Most of you might not be knowing the full form of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is nothing but it is National Institution for Transforming India. That is what Niti means in here. Although in Hindi, Niti means the rules and the regulations. India's Niti Aayog is a policy think tank set up by the Indian government on January 1st, 2015. Anyhow, it replaced the planning commission. I think 12th planning commission, the 12th financial plan of India was the last plan after which Niti Aayog was being implemented. Although India's planning had been having its existence since 1950, the change represented a major shift in India's approach to economic planning and governance. Although you should be knowing that in India, the Planning Commission was the, the idea behind bringing up the development of India in various sectors, including agriculture, and we were rather following most of the French technique of bringing in this development. The Planning Commission was replaced in India because of certain very important reasons, which then too government was thinking. The first problem with the Planning Commission after it was being implemented, that initially when it started till the end, there was number one, the biggest problem was the planning was top down planning. As the name suggests, top down planning is nothing but it is starting from the beginning. The top people plan and they start imposing the plans to the down line. So it was imposed plan. Most of the time, it was being seen as like that, and the states without adequate consultation were being following those things which were being designed by the Center Planning Commission of India. Then, since it was most of the autocratic way of planning, as people talk about, the flexibility was very less. Once planned, has to be implemented, whatever be the situation is. So its rigid approach hindered the adaptation to changing circumstances. In the country like India, whereby we have so much of changes every day, the economic situation, the environmental situation, the overall global situation keeps on changing every day. So 5 year plans, if are rigid, it's very difficult for them to be implemented easily. That was another problem. And then the resources were inefficient and they were not easily allocatable. It often led to delays and mislocation of funds. Planning are very good, but the implementation of plan also plays a very important role, which was missing. And finally, the expertise was weak. The specialized knowledge of the people, those who are involved in planning, they were not specialized in all the fields. As you were planning for something, you need to have the basic idea, the basic input should be given from different aspect of all the fields where you're planning. Here also, the planning commission was lacking. Although initial stages when it was started, the idea behind that was good enough, but the way it was being moving ahead since so many years, since 1950 onwards, uh, the approach was not so acceptable. Now, looking onto that, the government came up with another important idea to replace planning commission, and it was Niti Aayog. The Niti Aayog tried to implement the positive aspect of planning commission in a way that all those limitations of the planning commissions were replaced by Niti Ayog. The governance was most of time shared governance rather than top down approach. We were talking about the the collaborative approach whereby the state should think that it is working together with the central government, and the central and the state government when work together will feel equality, and the responsibility of everyone would be counted that time when we plan. This is what the first approach of Niti Ayog was. Then instead of top down approach, the approach of Niti Ayog is bottom up approach. We can also call it as people led approach. Instead of the central government telling the state what to do, it's better that state should be able to tell us the way what all things it wanted from center and what it can do. The feedback system naturally could be a better idea behind this approach. This is what Niti Ayog felt, and this is how the things were moving. Then, innovation and dynamism was the important aspect of Niti Ayog. The flexible and adopting the new economic situation, the changes which are coming regularly, the dynamism of the world, the environment, the business environment keep on changing. Everything is changing. So we should not be rigid. That's what the Niti Ayog thinks about, and that is how Niti Ayog is always open to come up with innovation and dynamism. And of course, it is the think tank of India. It act like a research and advisory group, providing expert advice and knowledge to help create effective policies for Indian development. Friends, if we move ahead, if you look on to the objective of Niti Ayog, which naturally we can understand by the way it has been replacing the Planning Commission. The first important objective of Niti Ayog is to encourage cooperative governance, whereby, as we have seen, the state and the central government should come together for the growth, because India is not one; it is being divided by different states, and all the states have different requirements, different need, different resources. So we need to think and talk about state altogether, and then only we can develop each and every aspect or each and every part of the country. The second objective is develop mechanism for village level planning. 70% of the Indian population is living in village. So the focus should be on the grassroots, especially the national planning should also focus the rural areas of the country. The third important objective is ensure national security interest in economic policy. Security interest plays a very important role, and that is again a very important objective of Niti Ayog. Apart from the development, economic development, the security bond, the, the security of the nation, the alien economic development with national security objective is again a very important aspect. And further, if you look on to the things, pay special attention to weaker section is again a key objective of Niti Ayog. Nothing to talk about this. We have been a combination of strong and weak uh, economic centers. So we need to see that the weaker section of the country is also being elevated. And finally, encourage partnership, collaborative efforts with national and international think tanks and educational institutions is also the key objective of Niti Ayog, because more we listen, more feedback we get, more better we can move. When we talk about the structure of Niti Ayog, the chairperson of Niti Ayog is the Prime Minister himself. Then we have the governing council, where the chief ministers of all the states and legislative governance of union territories are also the part of Niti Ayog. And then, if we talk about Niti Ayog, special invitees are also there from the different field where we are talking about development. And then we have a full-time committee organizational framework where there is a vice chairman given the status of cabinet minister. Then we have chief executive officer who is taking care for the think tank, and then you have experts and specialists from different fields. The status of Niti Aayog today, when we talk about, plays a significant role in shaping India's economic policies since its inception. It is always seen active in promoting cooperative federalism, whereby the state and all the different government agencies are working together. We have developing vision documents, and if you talk about what would be the strategy of India for the future, its vision can be seen through strategy for new India at 2075. See, such a long time we have been talking about in the think tank. Then you have promotional initiatives like Atal Innovative Missions and Sustainable Actions for Transforming Human Capital. That is a SAT program. You can also call it a SAT program. This is again an idea from the Niti Aayog, which talks about the development of human resource, as we have been talking about the demographic dividend of our country. Then you have been ranking states on the various parameters, and we can look upon to the different levels at which different states are working together. So that is also creating a healthy competition, and we can talk about the growth of our country and different part of our country in different states. The criticism which is being faced by the Niti Aayog today is, of course, people are there to criticize because we have replaced the strategy of one government, and now we have been implementing the strategy of another government. But above all, the intentions of both the governments are for the development of nation, and this is the way we work in democracy. The lack of financial power is one of the biggest limitation of Niti Aayog. Although Niti Aayog is a think tank, it does not have any financial power. The challenges which we get is the implementation part, whereby many of the recommendations are not efficiently implemented because of the financial issues. And further, limited impact on ground. The impact on grassroots development is always a point which is being debated because Niti Aayog do plan the thing, but to go to the ground level and implement those things in our country is very difficult. Despite these challenges, Niti Aayog remain a crucial institution in India's economic governance. It has brought about a paradigm shift in planning, promoting a more collaborative, flexible, and innovative approach for the development of our country. So the people, those who are interested in knowing more about Niti Aayog, can visit the website of Niti Aayog. They can get the articles in the newspaper. At least these are small things what every person of our country, every student should know about what Niti Aayog is all about.